Hello, everyone. So today we will be discussing about the evolution of growth hacking, the way we see it and the way we see it after AI. Obviously, you understand that it has been changed a lot. So we have a lot to discuss. And in this presentation, which I hope it will take an hour, maybe it will take a bit more. We will go through the full spectrum of the changes and what we have implemented and what it actually resulted something like an increase in leads by 400% or 500% because of the new things that we're doing. So I'm Theo, and I am the Chief Strategy Officer of Growth Hackers. We are working in um, making growth hacking and growth marketing even more standard than what it is, because people, every day I keep reading in different places that RIP designers or all kind of expertise that will go out because of AI. Well, the thing is that growth hacking is actually even better now with AI, and we will see why. Okay, so that I have four exits. In my past, I have created something like 11 companies. Four of that exited, and I am working on growth hacking for the last 15 years. So I'm also the guy behind the community and the guy behind the daily newsletter that you are getting on the community, and you will see a lot of things that are happening. So growth hackers, I believe, will be will be a very important asset to work with. So that said, so that I'm half business, half technical, half data driven, because I started psychology, then I moved into computer science, then I moved into finance, and then at the end of the day, I got an MBA. So if you will ask me, I say I'm equally engineer and equally business, and that is exactly the epitome of growth hacking, right? Being in the middle of two, and that's why I ended up in growth hacking, because luckily I had a profile that was resonating a lot with the growth hacking cause and initiative. So that everything that you will be seeing here is made by AI. Everything besides myself speaking, which I selected to do that myself because I wanted to connect with you all. And but all the visuals, all the videos, and everything that you will see are results of AI. Now, that said, I could use my fellow puppet to run the show for me. Let's see what the puppet will have to say.
Dear growth hackers, growth marketers, and digital marketers, in this presentation, I want to talk to you about the transformation we're living through. One where AI isn't just changing tools, it's reshaping our roles, our strategy, and the very core of how growth is achieved. Let's be clear, we are no longer in the era of generalists. Growth today is about being a multi-specialist. It's about knowing your channels, your tools, and your tech stack better than anyone else. If your team still thinks of content as blog posts only, you're already behind. Podcasts, videocasts, assets in multiple languages. You're not building content. You're building a content machine.
So that's okay, Puppet. I will take it from here. So I could run the full presentation through the Puppet, right? And that is a kind of asset that you could use in onboarding users, not a Puppet necessarily, but or doing different things, because the whole idea is creating more content. Unfortunately, we will not go through how to implement things. But you know something? I do believe that most of the people, the problem that they have is that they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know what to implement. It's not about how to implement. That's the next thing to have. So the first initial thing is, what should I do? What is changing? How can I keep up with everything? And that's exactly what we will discuss today, the why and the what's. Now, for the how, you can join the community. You can join any of our courses. You can read our books. You can speak with me or any of my colleagues. That's easy. We'll find the how. That's the easiest part. Okay, the what and the why, that is something that you will learn in the next hour. Now, that said, let's start from the why. Okay, why we need to do so? We need to do so because obviously we need to outrank our competitors, because we have the opportunity now with AI to address a bigger geography. Because one of the problems in addressing a bigger geography was always the language and the content. So now with AI, we have freed up with these kind of options, right? We can create any kind of content for any kind of geography. Then we can come up with more digital offerings. It's easier now than ever to create digital products, to create content that is behind a paywall, to repurpose the content that you have and offer that through different channels. And obviously, with with AI being part of your growth squad, what's happening is, yeah, you have less employee burnout, because the real employees, they do the real stuff. Because we were using employees, and we were using our colleagues to do things that not now AI is doing. So that's why now our employees are actually doing nice stuff. So they're very happy. They do not burn out, and they feel that they're very productive and efficient, which is very important. Also, there are faster turnarounds. Just imagine that the way we are all our growth hacking agencies or companies, we have always a B2B element, right? We need to send offers, we need to nurture leads, we need to do stuff. All these things that were taking time, now they're not. They're very, very fast. And all these things actually they result into efficiency, which is something that most companies, that is the problem that they used to have, right? In talking about agencies, yes, that's clearly an issue, right? Most agencies, they run with 20-25% margin, profit margin rate, which is very low, right? So that's why now you have the opportunity to go back to margins that are quite better than what you had before the AI. Now, and these are the whys. That is why we need to get into growth hacking, and we need to get into growth hacking through AI. Now, the point is that none of these six is the real thing. In reality, we have an option, because in reality, everybody will be using AI sooner or later. So we need to be there. We need to embrace these things, and we need to make sure that these things will make the difference. So it's not about any of the six before. It's because we are actually with our back on the wall, that we can do nothing more than being faster than all the others out there. Okay, and as the puppet said, the generalist model on marketing services is dead. We don't have the luxury anymore just to be a generalist, right? We don't have the luxury, because actually, if you are just a generalist, meaning that you know few things of everything, unfortunately, how can you advise your clients by knowing the bit and bytes of the things that you need to do? It would be impossible, right? But because of that, what you need to do is that you need to go deep in every aspect. I never believed into the T-shape marketeer. Uh, I believe it's outdated in any case. We came up with a P-shape marketeers, but now we believe that we need to have a full multi-specialist model where we all know almost everything. Even if we decide not to implement all of them, but we are experts and we know the bit and bytes of all the things that we could deliver as options to our users. And that applies not only to marketing, that applies also to AI, right? Because if we don't know the tools, if we don't know what AI can do for us, if we don't know how to build an agent or this kind of stuff, how that could become a plan for our clients, And if we want to go beyond the plan, if we want to implement that, how we do that, right? So that's why it's very important to get into the situation that we do know, and we do know deeply, we have a technical depth enough for our client to feel that we do know and we do consult him or her based on a holistic know-how, and not because and throughout the things that we just know. Okay, now that said, if you see these core skills 2030, that is something that it came from a World Economic Forum of last week. You see something interesting. If you will notice what's happening in the top right part of this diagram, you will see that obviously AI and big data is there, and by AI, obviously we mean ML as well, machine learning. But then everything else besides that is not related to that. It's related to resilience, it's about agility, flexibility, leadership, analytical thinking, talent management, systems thinking, self-awareness, and technological literacy, which means the skills that we need as growth hackers, not to run the machine necessarily, but to oversee AI doing the stuff. Right. So it's not necessarily that we will be the operators. I mean, growth hackers to be the operators of the future, but is AI will be the operator of the future. We will be overseeing these operations. Okay, and that is not something that I say, something that the World Economic Forum is saying, and they said about that last week. So it's quite updated. Now, we know one thing, that we cannot put all our eggs in one basket. So we need to be everywhere, because now with AI overview of Google, with Gemini, Perplexity, and all the AI systems out there, just Google results alone will not do the trick. So that's why we need to make sure that we will be present in Quora. We will have podcasts on Spotify. We will have articles on Medium. We will have podcast or videocast or audiocast on YouTube. We will have article on LinkedIn, on Substack or Reddit. Everywhere. We need to be everywhere. And you know that some of those, they're actually crawled and indexed by Google, right? So, and obviously they are also crawled and indexed by AI agents such as ChatGPT, Perplexity, and the rest, right? So we need to be there. And obviously you will ask me, but how is it possible for us to be there? How much content we need to create for us to be in all these platforms? But that's the beauty of AI. That AI is great with content, because what you need is that you need to create podcast, videocast, audiocast, articles, different assets such as PDFs or others, right? Digital assets, and you can create them in multiple languages, something that you couldn't do before. So now just imagine that you may decide that you will do Medium in Spanish, and then you will do, for example, Substack in English, and then you will do your website in 3 languages. That alone will give you the visibility that you need, way bigger visibility than the visibility that you had before. Now, that said, we need to become a content machine. And what is important here is that in order to become content machine, we need to do a lot of content analysis and research, because some of us we come up with a new concept every day, but it's not something of everybody. Right? Some other people, they need inspiration. They need to curate content. And that is exactly what AI is doing for us. So, and we will see a lot of examples of how we do that, and what we can get by curating content. But if you see here, we can use AI to do the research, to get content out, produce new content, and then we may even create job that will be totally unattended, that it will be created every day through automations without us doing a simple thing. If you see today, assuming that you are part of our 100,000 people that they get our daily newsletter. Now, a big part of that is happening through AI, which is, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that we have built a process that is a process is going through all the portals and blogs that we used to read. It gets us the content, it deduplicates them, then it selects the most important, it creates summaries, it creates links, it creates headlines, and it puts them on the newsletter, right? So we have done the front-loaded job for you to experience something that has a great value um, every morning. And we have a moderation process where we are getting these news first, we change a bit based on what we believe is useful for you, and then we release it to you. Okay, so and that is giving an omni-channel experience, because the same way that we are sending the email, we update articles, and we have created this machine that is working amazingly well for all of us, and it will work as well for you. Now, that said, if you want to be a master, not a growth master, but a master in utilizing these kind of technologies, you need to know the tools. That's very important. And unfortunately, there is not just one tool. There will be something like 10, at least 10 that you need to know in a very deep level, because each tool is offering something different. Then you need to master how to prompt, because how to speak with those tools, because each tool is different. Now, each when you do, for example, a dialogue in ChatGPT, you need to do how to do prompting, advanced prompting, and using the methods and the cues and all the nice things that ChatGPT is giving you. But when you are talking about, for example, Midjourney, you need to know about cameras, lights, lens, focus, all these things that they are related to photography. And when you're talking on video editing apps, you need to know all the things that are related to directions, right? How the camera moves, or how the camera is actually moving around your content, and how you animate things. So you need to become animator, and you need to become a director, right? And that is how we say that you need to learn how you speak differently with every of the tools that you will be learning. The next one is that you need to have a technical savviness, because at the end of the day, growth hacking and AI is a technical thing, right? So, and you may need, for example, to get information from YouTube, or you like a podcast and you would like to repurpose a podcast. But how you do that on a podcast? Who is giving you the podcast? Spotify will never give you the podcast, so you need to have a way of getting the podcast out. To get a YouTube out without captions, or to generate captions for YouTube that has no captions. You see, these kind of technical stuff that you need to do, and that is actually all about technical savviness and technical literacy that you saw in the skill set before. And besides all, you need to have the creativity, and you need to know the marketing. Because when we create a landing page, now creating the landing page is one thing, but what is the copy that we put on the landing page? What kind of frameworks we need to do on the landing page? When I created the course for AI level 1, the certification that we have at the university, you will see that I didn't focus in giving you a prompt to create a landing page, but understanding the frameworks and understanding the marketing behind the prompt itself, so that you create something that it converts, right? And that's, for me, it's a big difference. Now, that said, if I would ask your wish list as marketeers, and I'm sure that you would give me one of them, right? That you want to dominate your first page of Google, AI assistants, you want to be there when people are searching for you. You need to have the ability of understanding in real time what's happening with your paid ads, for example. You need to have the ability to adapt new technological threads. You need to have the ability to find new audience via inbound channels, right? You need to have the opportunity to convert visitors into clients, and you need to do that with very few resources. And um, that's the epitome of growth hacking and growth marketing. How can we deliver that to our clients and how we can deliver that to our companies if we are the growth hackers of our company. Now, that said, what you need to achieve that, if you would have a genie and you could ask for few wishes, yeah, obviously I know you would ask for few million, but few $1 million. But besides that, you would ask maybe more products, you would ask more content, you would ask more digital assets, you would ask ways to be authentic, to get great EAT. You know the importance of EAT: expertise, authority, trustworthiness. And then you need to build more engagement points. And somehow you need to embrace escapism, which is a huge trend nowadays. People and brands, they say that rather than just being authentic, we need a combination between authentic content and content that is related to AI. You know, CGI implementations, songs, visuals, and things that they make us think something and escape from the real world into the new reality, right? So we need to do both. We need to equally embrace escapism as well as authenticity. So that is what you need to do. And let's see how we can do that, because these things here, that it's not by luck that this is a genie, right? That this is your wish list. Now, if we see the typical traditional growth machine and growth hacking approach, we know that it has all these levels, right? From finding the levers, the goals, doing the brainstorming, and then prioritizing, analyzing, implementing, and then analyzing the results, and then systemizing or rejecting. That was always the case, right? That's a typical growth hacking methodology. You can get any of the courses if you have any questions in this methodology. We have the certification program. You can go there and then you can get the course and you will be certified as a growth hacker. Now the point is that that methodology had an issue, and the issue was that we wanted to do these things in sprints of 2 weeks. So 2 week sprints and bi-weekly sprint, as we were calling it. And in 2 weeks' time, you needed to do all the things that you see in this diagram, from selecting what you need to do, from deciding what to do, from implementing, and then putting out there, collecting results, and then deciding what to do with that. And that was exactly the problem, because before AI, in reality, you didn't have enough time to do so. And that's why what you were doing was actually you were selecting very few experiments, because you didn't have the luxury of having more experiments. Well, now with AI, that's exactly what you can do. And that's why we say that AI actually freed up growth hacking. Because now with AI, we have no technical bottlenecks, we have no time consuming tasks, because these we could delegate into AI, and we are doing the real stuff, which is high leverage work and increasing efficiency in all the experiments that we will be doing. Because at the end of the day, now with AI, everything that we want to do fits in the sprint, which means now we have the luxury of dealing with real stuff. Now, and that's why there is something which is called 2.0, which is actually how we move from operating the machine, what we said before, into overseeing the machine. Okay? And then what we need to do is that we need to remember that rather than being operators, we become directors, and we become animators, and we become the people, the growth hackers that will ask the machine AI to do the things we want to do. Okay, so we're shifting, and that's a great thing. And in order for us to do so, we need to have technical depth, because without the technical depth, we don't even know what to do. So that's why we definitely need to go deep in every single element, from the growth machine down to every single bit and byte of the tools that we will be using. And we need to remember one thing: in this relationship with growth hacking AI, we need to be the creative one. We will ask AI to give us the creative idea. We will brainstorm with AI, yes, but we will not ask AI to give us the plan. We will not ask AI to do the things that we need to do, because otherwise, what AI will create, one, will be based on the previous knowledge, right? And secondly, it will never be as good as something that has all the experience and the insights that you have for the client in the market. Okay, so you need to be the creative in the relationship, because at the end of the day, the future won't belong to those who know how to prompt, but to those who know what to prompt for. I keep saying that again and again, again and again, and up to the moment that I will either convince you, or you will convince me that that is not needed. But believe me, I have seen that working a lot. And I believe that if we will, all growth hackers will get into that mindset, ourselves and our clients will win the maximum of that mental shift. Okay, now, one important thing here, and you remember in the beginning, Google said that if you write everything with AI, I will penalize you. You remember that, right? It was a year ago, not farther than that. It was a year ago. And we were always afraid that if we deal with a lot of AI writing content and doing stuff, then we will not run well. Well, that is something that Google came back a year ago saying that we don't care. We do understand that everybody will be using AI. We know that. So that's why what we care about is that the content that you are creating with AI or not, even if that will be AI assisted, AI generated, AI inspired, whatever AI kind of you used, what we care about is that this content is helpful. And in order for that content to be helpful, it needs to pass a specific score. And that score is the score where you are and you do have the expertise, the authority, and the trustworthiness. And you see here the great decline, right? I took that from the Great Depression period. You see that is HubSpot, and then it's TechCrunch. You see what's happening with the traffic for many, many reasons. One among them is that guest blogging, unrelated content, and lack of EAT, right? Because EAT is nothing to do with just the website, it has to do with its particular article. So if that article is a shitty one because AI created it, then obviously you will lose your traffic, and that's what's happening here. Okay, and things are even worse. What Tim told us from Ahrefs told us a week ago was that AI overviews, they do reduce clicks by 34%. You know, 1 out of 3 of our users, they don't even click AI overviews. They just consume that. And that is all. You see the issue with that? The whole thing is changing, so we need to change as well. Because the truth is that AI overview is our competitor. Because if I'm looking for growth hacking, for example, I would go, and if I will search from, for example, from the US or from the UK, I will get that, not from all countries. Currently, AI overviews is roll out in tier 1 and tier 2 countries. So, but it will go everywhere very, very soon. But that's the point, that if I want to learn about growth hacking, what was happening before is that I would have to get into growthhackers.com and learn about that. But now I'm getting Gemini. AI overview is obviously Gemini, and I'm getting the results from there. So if that will be a self-sustainable content, then I will consume that, and then I will continue searching for something else, right? And if you see the sources on the right of that screen, they are not even the same order that we have in ranking results. So if you search for growth hacking, you will see that in reality, Wikipedia is not the first result, but as source there is first, which means that you were investing all this time for ranking and SEO, but now SEO is not the same anymore. So we need to adapt. And the same thing is through ChatGPT, because most people, they will start searching from ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini. They will not even go in Google anymore. And you know the difference is not the tool. The difference is that when you are searching through ChatGPT, you are searching for long tails. While when you were searching on Google, you were searching by 95% of people, they were searching for short tails because we knew that we are writing about keywords. While in ChatGPT, we have the perception that we can write natural language. So we use long tails. And then we need to adapt and build long tails keywords. Now, that said, one advice that I would be giving you today is that because ChatGPT is using the ranking algorithms of Bing, which is Bing, who was interesting of Bing before? Not many people, right? But so my advice is after this call, after this webinar, get into your Bing Webmaster Tools and create the property and optimize that. It will also bring the traffic coming from Google Search Console. So don't worry about that. You will lose no data. And you will migrate everything to Bing, and then you can optimize from Bing. And that alone will give you extra visibility in ChatGPT. That alone. Now, talking about content, the biggest question is, are we writing for Google to to satisfy EAT? Are we writing for users? Are we writing for Google rankings? For whom are we writing? And then I keep asking that different in different times, and sometimes I'm getting the second or the first or the third. It depends. In reality, we write for users, and we write in a way that Google is saying that yes, we do have the expertise, we do have the authority, we do have the trustworthiness, so it makes sense for us to do so. Okay, and in order to do that, we could use different score checkers for measuring our EAT, and we could also create rich snippets to enrich our content. Rich snippets such as FAQs or how-tos or list of items. For example, these different rich snippets are utilizing the space that we deserve on Google search results. We deserve it. We never used it. We never asked for it. It's our own time, dedicated and reserved for us. But we don't ask for that because we couldn't do that. Now with AI, we could even create rich snippet directly from ChatGPT. You see, we create a FAQ, we ask ChatGPT to create the schema org for us. We get the code, we put it on our website, boom, we have a FAQ. That's all. And then we have here something like a FAQ. We have here rich snippets. We have videos. We have books. We have how-tos. We have lists. We have playlists. All of these you can do yourself. And you know something? We have done your job very easy. You can click now or after on ChatGPT. You can get into custom GPTs, and you will get these two custom GPTs that we created for you. So what will happen is that you may press the button, start checking. You will give your articles, and then it will give you the score based on the algorithms of Google regarding helpful content and based on EAT. So, and you will see if the articles are passing these guidelines. Just imagine that you can do that for all the articles that you will be getting from your copywriters, your agencies, your SEO copywriters, different people that they prepare content for you. The first thing that you will do is that you could even ask them, look, get into there, check your article, give me the score you are getting. And if that is above 80, boom, you're fine. That's okay. Your content is acceptable. Otherwise, rework on that and make sure that it will pass the 80 out of 10. Okay, those two custom GPTs will do the trick. By the way, you don't need to remember the links, obviously. What I will do is that after this webinar, I will send to all of you this presentation. So you will be able to see that presentation, click the links, see the videos, everything. Okay, now, that said, let's see what are the things that we can do that they make such a big difference. Now, the first thing is that we need to remember that there is a new trend nowadays that's called democratizing innovation, because now with AI, we can all innovate. Okay, now just imagine the following. And I got an example from a hospitality section. I have examples from all the sections because we keep implementing in different verticals. But just imagine the following. A simple thing such as getting the room. And because ChatGPT and other systems, but let's assume ChatGPT for now, is great reading a picture, what we can do is that we can actually submit a picture of a room or product or whatever, and we can get a description out of that. And that description will be way better than the description that we had before, because before we were just focusing into, in this case, into the room, while here you see that we created a way better description. The point is that we can go a step beyond that. We may say that we would like to get that description not as a description of a product, such as Junior Suite, for example, in this case, but we may say that I would like to have this description for honeymooners or for families with small children. Both of them, they would have different personas looking for different things. But at the end of the day, both of them, they would stay in the Junior Suite. But they will not search it as a Junior Suite. They will search it differently. And that's why AI is giving us the opportunity into moving from the product specific descriptions into the persona specific descriptions. Okay, as an example, we said that it's not only that AI is editing pictures, but AI is also able to generate pictures. Just imagine that I can get a picture of my room, for example. I could visualize it, how it will look into Valentine's Day, or I could add some elements that I miss, such as the vase of roses, red roses. How more beautiful that is when you see that picture rather than the picture without that, right? Or we could even go beyond that. We get a picture, and what we do, we actually renovate or redecorate our rooms, right? And that is the way that we use AI in a very productive manner. Okay, reading from pictures, understanding the pictures, and then delivering content or other pictures or videos or whatever. Okay, now another thing that is saving a lot of time is when we apply different things into different products. So you get the input that you see a picture from the web, someone taking a beer out, then you put the logo and then you create another picture that it has your logo on it, or you create different merchandise materials based on that. You see, all these things up to the moment that you didn't have AI, you have two options: either to utilize your art direction and graphic designer, or to ask a photographer to come and take some pictures. With now, we don't need that. And how we did that? With a simple ChatGPT. Right? A simple ChatGPT is enough to generate this kind of content. And same here, right? I got my cup of coffee, I got a logo, and I created a cup of coffee branded by Lavazza. You know, easy stuff in 2 minutes, in 2 seconds, whatever. Okay, now that said, we could go beyond that and we could create short videos. So we can take any long video we have or we liked, such as our favorite TEDx talk or whatever, any kind of video that we have created in the past. For example, it's now time with AI and growth hacking. It's now time that we go back to all the videos we used to have and we repurpose them. And we create with, for example, Exemplary or Opus Pro, we create videos that are very TikTok-like, right? Short form videos.
Well,
like
I would say
that one.
cultures are the sort of habits and the beliefs and the values that show up in human communities. And hang on to that thought. But
And that was a small part that has been created automatically by using Opus in this case, that it was part of a large video, right? And we came up with a ton of these kinds of clips that we plan and we post every second day.
And the skill
It's the
here,
Asian
the skill
countries
here
with
is
a
great
so
code.
Now, talking about social media content, just imagine that. It's so easy that we get the list of the content, and that is an example from KSM Marketing, that we create the pillars, the content pillars, and then we ask Canva or ChatGPT or even Midjourney to create, together with our brands, our logos and everything, to come up with the actual content of our timeline. And that's how we create this kind of stuff. Now, that said, it's so easy to come up with content that we didn't have before, right? And we shouldn't lose that opportunity. We need to keep that because that will make a big difference. Now, that said, Midjourney. We used to use Midjourney just to generate images. You know how many times we need posters, we need art, we need inspiration. So we need to use Midjourney for that as well. The best application out there to come up with content we never had before. Covers. Or even, you know what I did today? Today I use a picture and I created an animated content, an animated Lottie file, as we call it, where the animation was happening. And I did that with just Gemini AI Studio. It took me a minute, while the previous one that I did a few months back, I had to pay $1,000 to Fiverr, to a Lottie designer to create for me. Now it just took me a minute, okay, through AI Studio. Now to create a Lottie file from a still image. Now, or just imagine that you have a picture of your property, let's assume again hospitality as an example, and we put in the pool, we put children, or we enhanced the view of the room. You know, we don't need to call the photographer anymore. We don't need to do drones for this kind of stuff. We just use Midjourney and we get the result in few seconds. Okay, that's the inputs and the two outputs, just one minute away, 1 minute away. Or we could create consistent stories with consistent characters, and we can play that story. Or we can see here myself as a doctor, as a footballer, as me walking the dog, right? Same thing. So, and that's why we said before that we need to be very, very creative in what we do. If we're creative, then we see all these opportunities that we can put on our timeline to do so. We could do nothing of those things before AI, right? We couldn't have that experiment, or we couldn't get our property and create and participate in a Pixar movie. Now we can, right? The same property in a Pixar movie, boom, it comes. Few seconds. Or me in different cartoon style, right? From caricature to Thundercats to hand drawing or well-known Pixar characters or whatever. It was myself just asking ChatGPT to create different versions of me in a cartoon style, just defining the cartoon style. Well known, you all know that because it came through your timelines. Your timelines are full of this kind of stuff, right? So you need to do that for your clients. You see, that's the way that we took a picture of a Zoom call last week, and we turned that into cartoon style, and we sent it over. We put it on our social media, and everybody was excited about that. You know, remember, creativity is the thing. Obviously, it has to do with the technical depth of how these things are working, but it's even more, it was how to think that in a very creative manner. Now, that said, we could get, and I created actually my own video. My still image directly from my from this picture that you see before. You see that picture in the middle where it's the original one. You can understand which one is the original one, right? So, and I got that one, and I said, now make me a cartoon in front of a podium. Okay, and then what I did is that I got my voice, I did a voice capturing, and then I took this still image, and through Hydra, I created a video outcome.
Today, we will discuss AI in hospitality. Dear members, thanks for having me today
So you see, and I could run that in a full cartoon style with the script that I wanted to say. Right? Again, it could stand as a standalone course. It could stand as a teaser. It could be just for fun. It could be just social media content. Different options. And same thing we have here. Just imagine that we could do. We take the same now. I got the same image. I created through ChatGPT scripting and lyrics. I moved into Suno. I created song out of that with vocals and everything. And then I asked Hida to actually create the video for me. Let's take a look of how. And I created that with two cameras. Actually, it was not two cameras. Obviously, you understand it was nothing more than me getting a profile picture and then becoming a different picture, right? Two different pictures, both of them, they work the same way. Let's see the result together.
The future's knocking on our lobby door with circuits humming. It's time to soar. Once we fear the unknown, staring at the screen. Now AI's the tool that makes our vision keen.
And you know how I did that? I just uploaded into ChatGPT this presentation and I asked to create lyrics. Let's see the refrain from a different camera.
AI to the rescue. No more burning out. Faster turnarounds. We leave no doubt. Content campaigns and service dreams. AI's in the team, fueling the streams.
You see, easy stuff, creative stuff. That alone is not a simple thing, right? Because you used three different tools that you know how to use them together, and you came up with something that it also has a cost because it consumes some credits. Yeah, it cost me this thing what you see here that I created for a global conference that I will be next week in Norway. It cost me something like $10, right? Of everything from ChatGPT down to Suno and Hydra and all the others. I have created even more. So that said, we could even create videos that were not part of the character. So in that case, we may get any kind of photos, we may get any kind of videos, we may get anything we like, docs, whatever. And we could even start from a video and we can create another video. So here, what we did is that we got that video, we liked the idea, we transcribed the video, and then we created another video with something that was very interesting, which is called RSI, which is
Ever wondered how the world communicates beyond language barriers? The key lies in interpretation. But what happens when the interpreter isn't in the same room or even the same country as the speaker? Enter remote simultaneous interpreting, or RSI. The evolution of RSI is a tale of technology meeting necessity.
Okay, we will not learn about RSI today, but we have two different options. We created two different options because, why not? If you can do that,
Imagine
do
a
that.
world where language barriers are a thing of the past, where global communication is seamless and effortless. That's the power of remote simultaneous interpreting, or RSI. At the Growth Hacking University.
You see, the point is that we get any kind of information. What we used here was just a video we liked, just to get the transcript. We got some brochures of RSI infrastructure. We put them all together. We did some Googling. We created a script, and then we created the videos. All together, it took us something like an hour. But we came up with videos explaining something we didn't even know before. Okay.
Ever wondered how
Now,
the
imagine
world
a world-
communicates?
If we go down to moving different languages, we can even use our own avatars, and we can use that for ads, for teasers, for learner videos, for onboarding users, for training videos, that we could use our own avatar. For example, here we got a static image and we created something in 27 different languages with captions and everything. So we had to use these three applications: ChatGPT for scripting and translation, then HeyGen for voice creation, and then and building the avatar, and then Capwing for stitching together and doing intros and outros.
Dear Hot Rec members,
You see?
it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to our 90th General Assembly, taking place in Oslo from 28.
And that's the point. And if you see here,
Guten
I speak.
Nachmittag, geschätzte Partner und Mitglieder von DOR International. Wir freuen uns, Sie zu diesem Vortrag zum Thema KI begrüßen zu dürfen. Chers partenaires bei DOR International, international bewusst, c'est avec plaisir que nous vous accueillerons à cette présentation sur l'IA. Good afternoon, esteemed partners, and
You see, so we could use our avatars, or we could play with that in a way that is playful through cartoons or whatever. The idea is about repurposing everything that we have: data, content, keywords, the content of our competitors, the breaking news, images, our images or our competitor images, anything that we like. That is the mindset of the growth hacker, right? I keep traveling all around the globe. Well, you know, the one thing I keep doing, taking pictures of outdoor advertising, of copies that I like, advertising in the subway, you know, different things that I like. And that is becoming source for me to process through AI and deliver something that it makes sense. Okay, and then we could even create blogs that they do include our links as well. So these are blogs that are quite heavy into having our own products, but also getting the results from Google, what we call people also ask, because there is nothing better than matching the demand. And how you can do that? You can ask ChatGPT to get the links from the web and from Google, and making sure that it will address and will answer these questions. And that's how you create content that it makes sense, right? Now, the same thing is when you get a table, a data table, right? It could be from your ads. It could be any table that you found in the web. And then you may say, okay, now let's analyze that. Let's see what's happening. You remember the diagram that I showed you before from World Economic Forum, the one with the expertise that and the things that you need to know. That alone, I could get that diagram and I could get a very nice blog post out of that. The same way that I do from that table here, or starting from an image. You say we have an image that is comes from a brochure from our competitor, by the way, from the competitor of the company, and then we create a blog post out of that. You see, a simple image explaining how something is working, it was enough for us to generate the content and making sure that that content is actually very much related to our audience and our industry. Now, that said, you can start from transcripts, right? So if alone you have remote meetings that you do with clients, transcribing everything through Read AI or Otter or different transcribe AI assisting Zoom mechanism, you have the transcript ready, and then you create documents out of that, right? You create blog posts, you create the scope for your meeting, you create a ton of things, because there is nothing better than a transcript of something of value. So you have the transcript, and then you need to think, okay, now how can I repurpose that? Because I do have the transcript. I don't even need to create a transcript. I do have the transcript as a result of my meeting. So what can I do from here? Right? In this case, for example, that was a meeting where we were discussing about a specific topic that we wanted to create a playbook. And the playbook resulted something like half an hour later, because we were smart enough to have the transcript in place. And same thing was here. So that was an interview with someone, and we were discussing about growth hacking and things that are happening in growth hacking AI. So that became an interview just half an hour later, because in transcript we had everything we needed. That alone was enough. You remember what we were doing a few years back? We were keeping notes, and we were doing voice overviews and all these things. We don't need to do all this. We just need to make sure that we do have the proper tools in our source for generating content. And then we may create video-generated scenes. For example, I created that picture on the left in Midjourney, and then I asked Midjourney to put some people in there hiking, and then I asked Haluyo to create the people's walking. So I created a video scene, and then I created a video from nothing because I just had a still image, and even that still image has been created on Midjourney. So I had literally nothing. I started from the idea to the full video. Okay, and just imagine that we can do the same in here. If you see, I have a still image that is something that I took from a photographer, and then what's happening is that I ask a camera to follow up a drone animation. So I was able to actually move that thing like having a camera. I didn't have a camera, I just have a picture that someone took, but I was able to animate that. And because I was able to animate that, I could do even more stuff. Now, that said, we could even create music. So we could deliver this presentation, we could create lyrics, and from these lyrics we could create songs, and we can do that through Suno, which is a nice application, and then the result is quite okay.
Chickens and breeze, just scan and go. A smart concierge, it's in the know.
You see, all of this again is about having audio-visual aspects, because you can create podcasts out of that, you may create music, audiocast, whatever. Okay, and then you may create even different different services. For example, here we wanted to find a way to attract small children to brush their teeth, and what we found out was that we could do we could create a song, a personalized one based on what each child wanted, and then we created, for example, a song lasting for 2-3 minutes at the time of brushing the teeth, and one was Fantastic Four, another one was Batman, another one was whatever. Check the result.
Iron Man says go right, power and light. Brush, 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 keep the teeth bright. Four thunders, go left, reach high. Clean those teeth, aim for the sky.
So just imagine, I have multiple songs in that slide. So you cannot imagine the impact of such a campaign that we couldn't even think before. Well, now we can, and that's the beauty of that. We come up with new ideas that we implement through AI, and the impact and the visibility of these campaigns is amazing. Okay, and just imagine that you could even go a step behind and beyond that. You may get, for example, something that is like a news.
Elon Musk said Monday evening that Twitter is holding off the restart of his paid account verification plan over continued concerns of impersonation on the social media platform.
And the same is for our own.
View the latest news and breaking news today for US, world, weather, entertainment, politics, and health at Movio.
Household.
Hi, I'm Roxy, and this is your weekly Growth Pulse, powered by Growth Rocks. Get ready for the latest growth marketing trends, hacks, and updates, all in one place. Let's go. We begin today's bulletin with Google's unveiling of its latest video generation model, Veo 2.
You see, that's exactly the example that I told you before. Like, we curate content, we deduplicate them, we select the most important, and then we create the news bulletin on a weekly basis. So every week we have the latest and the greatest, the news that we believe that you need to know, all in 3 minutes. where anchor woman is Roxy, a virtual persona. Roxy never existed. We invented Roxy something like 10 years ago. Since then, we grew up. Roxy stays the same, so and remains the same. So, but that's the idea. We use that persona to get more visibility and do things that we couldn't do before. Just imagine that before building everything with AI, and that is something, believe me, that is something that it takes 27 different steps from curating the news down to generating this automatic thing, right? That's fully automated. No humans are involved. So before that, it happens every Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning. So before that, we had a full-time employee that was dealing with that, reading the news, selecting the news, and writing small summaries of those news for our audience. Just imagine we moved from that into the automated thing and becoming a news bulletin. You see the difference? Just imagine that for yourself and your clients. Now, if you need to create transcripts, Descript is a great opportunity. TurboScribe is another one. You create, and it actually it will give you the option to transcribe whatever you like. And then if you need to stitch together, and that's how we create everything in Growth Hacking University. If you go growthhackers.com/university, you will see everything. We use Capwing to stitch everything together, from subtitles down to translation, down to social media content or whatever. Everything is happening with the same tools that you see today. Okay? And yes, for you, for most of you, AI will not come cheap, right? It will be around 100 to 200 almost. For us, is 2,500. But believe me, it's something that it makes sense, and it works like being 20,000, right? So it makes sense. The efficiency and the effectiveness that we are getting as growth hackers and implementing these kind of experiments all together in the speed of light, that makes a great difference. Okay? Now, for you in the community, if you are not in the community, you may get into growthspace.growthhackers.com. You will be getting our new ebooks, Growth Hacking, the Second Life, and Growth Hackers 2.2, 2.0. You will get them free of charge, and you will also get a 30% on the new book that we are publishing. It will be on Amazon. It will be physical in bookstores in a month from now. You can get it in 30% off, so that you will read everything about what growth hacking becomes. And besides that, for everything else, including the course on university, we are giving you as far as you are here or you're part of our community, we're giving you 30% discount in everything you will get into growthhackers.com. Remember, don't try to get tomorrow's customers using yesterday's tools. That's one thing. And the second is that when your competitor strives to be better, you need to try to be faster. And the early bird will get the worm, and that is what you need to remember. So I know we saw a ton of things, but believe me, these were all the elements that help us to improve and deliver extra leads, amazing number of extra leads to our clients, not because we're smarter, but because we know how to use the tools, and we know how to use the tools for extra visibility. Just imagine that a simple news bulletin or a simple podcast on YouTube will open up a channel you never had before, because people, they do use YouTube to search, and you will be there. Or people, they use Spotify to get podcasts. You will be there, right? So you open up new channels, you open up new formats, and you open up new content. And you put this content out in a lot of different cases, in a lot of different channels. As we said, Substack, Medium, Quora, all the channels. You need to be there. Reddit, you need to be there. So be there. You couldn't be there before. You can now. So these could be experiments in growth hackers' hands. As experiments, they have a great value because they fit your sprints. They couldn't fit before. Every single thing of what you saw before, the last hour, it could take us weeks to implement. A ton of cost to implement. Now it's just doable. It fits our plan, and we move forward. We see what works, we keep that, we systemize it, and then we move forward. So that was all. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you find that useful. And we have more webinars coming your way. So check growthhackers.com/events, and you will be able to see all of them, what we prepare for you. Equally valuable content. I hope you found that valuable as well. And if you need something, you know where to find me on our community. Join our community and just DM me. I will be there. Okay, so if you want to connect with me, please scan this QR code and then let's connect. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.